Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. Hail Dominance, Anthony here. Please remember to like and subscribe and also click that notification bell if you're enjoying what you see and want to see more. Here it is, round 22 of the NRL. Games played from the 12th to the 15th of August 2021. Right. The Canberra Raiders gave the league leaders Melbourne Storm a huge scare at the Sunshine Coast Stadium on Thursday before the sending off of Cora Harawira-Naera in the 76th minute for a shoulder charge ended all hopes of an upset. In the end, the Storm prevailed 26 points to 16, but they had to survive a Jack Whiten-inspired comeback from the Canberra side before registering their 18th win on the trot. After giving an early try to the Raiders winger Bailey Simonson, the Storm quickly hit their straps with hooker Brandon Smith getting over from dummy half within the first 10 minutes. 5 minutes later, Storm produced a long-range effort down the right edge with Dean Eremaya, leaving Jared Croker and Jordan Rapana in his wake to finish off the movement. Munster stamped his class on the game when he puts Chris Lewis in through a great offload, which had the Storm raced to an 18 points to 4 lead. A penalty goal from Nico Hines on the 32nd minute made it 24 points to 4, and that's how the teams went into the break after Raiders centre Matt Timoko had blown a late chance when he spilled the ball over the line. The Raiders came out firing in the second half, with 5'8" Whiten setting up Simonson for his double, and the gap was back to 10 points. I do have to say, before the half, Jack Whiten put a hit on the Storm winger, Eremaya, with a great hit. Spilled the ball and everything. So, going back into the second half, 7 minutes later, the Green Machine were in when Eremaya allowed a Sam Williams bomb to bounce, and Whiten picked up the scraps to send Simonson over for his third try. In the first game back from over a 5-week absence due to a toe injury, Simonson had his first career hat-trick, and the Storm were looking over their shoulder with the Raiders coming back to 20 points to 16. Consecutive high tackles from Tom Starling and Josh Hodgson in the next two sets handed Ryan Pappenhausen the chance to extend Melbourne's lead to 6 with the penalty goal. The Raiders failed to find touch from a penalty, and another high shot from Hodgson gave Melbourne more field position that they needed to turn the screws. Remy Smith and Justin Olam, who both went close to scoring before Harawira-Naera's charge out of the line and connected with Hughes' head to earn his matching orders. Pappenhausen landed the penalty goal for 26 points to 6. On the contact, Jerome's not well. He can't remember anything about the game and doesn't look too good, so it's obviously a fair knock that he's got, said Storm boss Bellamy. He didn't actually see the tackle. We were just trying to get some changes done at that stage. I caught the collision, but I didn't see it in that closely, so I don't want to comment on the tackle. Both sides lost star players in their head knocks, with the Storm's lock Dale Finucane, had it right this time, lasting just 2 minutes before he was forced off, and Raiders skipper Croker failed his HIA during the halftime break. The Storm set a new club record for the most points in a season, and will look to equal the all-time record of 19 wins in a row held by Arthur Beaton's 1975 Roosters side when they tackled the Titans next week. Canberra, meanwhile, will be looking to repeat their round 17 heroics at Four Pines Park when they face the Sea Eagles in a clash that will have a huge bearing on their top 8 aspirations. So, Penrith looks like a side reborn with halfback Nathan Cleary back at the helm, easily accounting and brushing aside the Dragons for a 34 points to 16 win at Suncorp Stadium on Friday night. No Friday the 13 Blues for Penrith. Clearly showing obviously no effects from his right shoulder injury. Cleary defended strongly without missing a tackle all night and showing his accustomed slick passing game to set up one and play a role in several more tries in what was Penrith's best performance since Cleary's injury in Origin 2. His father and coach Ivan gave him a 4-minute early break with the game in the bag, but it was 76 minutes of quality to that point. Clearly Senior also praised the improvement of the performances of the entire team. In a tactical switch, Matt Burton was shuffled back to the centres, but produced a game not far short of his match-winning effort a week prior, using his running game to devastating effect to set up one try and score another to break the game open midway through the second half. The Dragons, despite having the far superior numbers in terms of completion and possession for most of the game, still came up with critical errors at the wrong time, and a few questions of Penrith Panthers' defence having ample opportunity to do so. The only real bright spot for Red fans was a sensational late-game cameo from Junior Amone, who was injected into the halves for the final quarter of the match and had one try assist, and nearly a third try involvement in the final minute. Penrith did their best to make life easy for the Dragons in the opening quarter of the contest, completing just 2 of their first 7 sets and helping the Dragons to a 75% possession count in the opening 20 minutes. In that period, Dragons were tackled 21 times in the opposition half compared to 1 for Penrith and 7 more complete sets. However, it was Penrith who scored the first after doing a mountain of defence on their own line, with a frustrated Corey Norman firing a long ball, but that was never on, with Brent Naden pushed right up into the Dragons' defensive line. The Panthers winger couldn't believe his luck as the ball landed in his breadbasket and he galloped 90 minutes for a try on the 14th minute. It took a scarcely believed flick pass offload from Zach Lomax to crack the Panthers, with Michele Ravalawa going over just past the 20 minutes mark. Another interception try from Norman, this time straight to Momorowski in the middle of the field, put the Dragons back under pressure, and Naden soon had his second as the Panthers made a well-worked left side short shift look far too easy. Dylan Edwards sold Gerard Beale a huge dummy to spin his way to the line on the 32nd minute and bagged his second 11 minutes later, 11 minutes into the second half, capping off a 70-metre move that was through the team, passing, high flowing and everything, which was started by Jerome Leua, putting Burton into space. It was 2 Penrith tries in 3 minutes, with Clearly jolting the ball free from Jack Bird off the Dragons' next touch, and Burton produced another brilliant run, beating 3 to score himself. Amoni was injected for the final quarter as mentioned, and provided some sparks, setting up a Bird try with a lovely step and run and offload, but the Red V still were adrift at 28 points to 12 with 17 minutes to play. Momorowski ran onto a nice Cleary pass and through some very soft defence in the 69th minute before Amoni produced another big step, this time scoring himself in the 77th minute. And the final score, as I mentioned, 34 points to 16. The Roosters have leapfrogged Parramatta into the top 4 with a controversial late penalty goal, handing them a 21 points to 20 win over the Broncos at Suncorp Stadium on Friday night. In a chaotic 8 minutes, where the scoreline changed 3 times, Broncos forward Tom Fletcher was ruled to have collected Sitili Tupanoa's high by the NRL bunker after James Tedesco challenged a knock-on decision in the 78th minute. Roosters centre Adam Kieran brushed aside his club's goal-kicking woes this season to slot the match winner after Broncos looked to have been home only moments earlier with a crazy passage of play. Brisbane were on track to deliver an upset when Roosters lock Victor Radley was penalised for attacking the legs of kicker Albert Kelly, who was attempting a field goal to allow Selwyn Cobbo a shot to slot a penalty for 20 points to 19. 4 minutes earlier, Roosters halfback Sam Walker had broken an 18-18 deadlock with a field goal to make it 19-18. Roosters coach Trent Robinson defended the Radley challenge on Kelly after his return match against Broncos followed a 5-match ban where the teams met in May, ending with him being placed on report. For Roosters, Tedesco was a huge presence for the Tricolours to finish with 216 metres for the 30 carries in a Romans captain's knock for the number 1 jersey. Robinson also paid tribute to club stalwarts Isaac Louis and Siasola Takioa in the engine room, with Jared Wahara-Hargreaves rested and Angus Crichton suspended. It was a wild game. There was a big range in quality from us to them, said Robinson. Both sides traded 3 tries for each for the 80-80 scoreline in greasy conditions in Brisbane. The seesawing contest began in the unluckiest way, with Broncos behemoth Payne Haas opening the scoring at one end before Isaac Lou dived over in the similar play 5 minutes later. The Broncos were lucky not to be temporarily down a man in the 29th minute when David Mead ripped the ball from Tedesco on the attack after the livewire fullback had made a 40-metre burst. Mead wasn't as lucky defensively moments later, however, when Tedesco sent former Bronco Dale Copley over the line with a deft kick into the in-goal. The Broncos liked their chances in the mid-air contest between Xavier Coates and David Tapau, with the returning wingers setting up the side second by batting the ball back for Jordan Ricky to cross over in the corner. Not to be outdone, Tapau looked to have crossed before half-time, but a last-ditch effort from Tyson Gamble forced him into touch. Anthony Milford made his way back onto the field for the first time in over 2 months, with the Rabbitohs-bound playmaker replacing Gamble midway through the second half. Gamble struggled with a suspected fractured hand moments before leaving the field, while the Broncos also lost rookie Xavier Willison to a knee injury. Walter said Gamble would have scans on Saturday. The Broncos hit the front midway through the second half, with Fledger producing a wonderful piece of play, stepping off both feet to keep the ball alive on the last tackle for Albert Kelly to cross under the posts. However, the Roosters came up with a power play of their own to level the scores 2 minutes later, with Tawakeo getting past Danny Levi to set up Tedesco under the sticks and set up the grandstand finish. So as part of the triple header shown on TV, South Sydney became the first team in Premiership history to score 30 points in 8 consecutive matches as they pummeled the Gold Coast Titans 36 points to 6 at Cbus Super Stadium on Saturday afternoon. It wasn't the only new chapter written into the record books, with the rampant Rabbitohs recording 10 straight wins for the first time since 1989, a team that was coached by George Piggins. Wayne Bennett's current crop can now also lay claim to have scored the most points in the season for the Proud Foundation club, 689 and counting. And while the typical understated Bennett isn't fussed about statistics or statistical achievements, he can sense there's something special building. Saturday's result keeps South Sydney level on 38 competition points, with upcoming opponents Penrith with outright second spot on the line in the blockbuster showdown. The Titans, meanwhile, remain 7th for the time being. The Rabbitohs skipped to a 24 points to nil halftime lead, with 5-8 Goldie Walker's golden batch continued, but Bennett found the second term hard to watch and thought complacency crept in. Halfback Adam Reynolds, fresh from off breaking Eric Sims' point scoring record for the club last week, surpassed his previous best of 221 points in a season and booted his 100th goal of the year. Meanwhile, centre Braden Burns bagged his first 2 tries of the campaign to cap off a memorable weekend, which he also got engaged to partner Tianan. With the finals on the horizon, Bennett reflected on the renovations he's overseen at South Sydney in reshaping the playing style after the retirement of several club legends. Bennett also appreciated that he'll have a fully healthy squad at his disposal next week, with the likes of Dane Gagai, Alex Johnson, Campbell Graham and Liam Knight all expected to return from injuries. As clinical as South Sydney were at times, the Titans did themselves no favours. An early error allowed hooker Damien Cook to drop Latrell Mitchell back on the angle from a scrum, and the fullback powerfully carried Jared Wallace and AJ Brimson over the line. A second try came from Josh Mansour in the 22nd minute after Reynolds and Walker lined up in trademark style on their lethal left side. Reynolds then scooped up the scraps from his own bomb to touch down in fortuitous fashion after Keon Kolomatanga knocked the ball back into his own head. 33rd minute penalty extended the margin before Walker stormed into a gap and cleverly summed up the situation to put Burns over the stripe. Walker was in again, at his scheming best, early in the second half, opting to run on a last tackle and delivering a sterling flat pass that gave Burns his second try. Another Reynolds penalty pushed South Sydney further in front, while Titans winger Corey Thompson crossed on the 65th minute to give his team's confidence leading into Thursday's daunting clash against first place Storm. But more Mitchell magic ensured the Rabbitohs had the last say, as the brilliant number 1 flicked passed up to provide Mansour with his double in the 75th minute. So for the second game, we're at Queensland Country Bank Stadium in Townsville, as we see the West Tigers overcome a late sin binning for halfback Luke Brooks and Queensland's comeback to keep their final hopes alive with a gripping 24 points to 16 defeat of the Cowboys at the QCB Stadium on Saturday. Brooks, who laid on 2 for the Tigers' 5 tries, was sin-binned in the 78th minute for a professional foul after making a try-saving tackle on the North Queensland centre Jaden Elsey and ripping the ball from his grasp. Cowboys halfback Tom Dearden had scored only minutes earlier, and winger Ben Hampton crossed on the first tackle after Brooks was sin-binned, but the Tigers hung on to move within 2 points of the top 8 and give themselves a chance to making the finals. The Tigers led 12 points to 6 at half-time after a mistake-ridden first half, in which they completed just 14 of the 21 sets of possession and had little field position but managed 3 line breaks and 20 tackle breaks. In contrast, North Queensland last tackle options were very poor and their attack was clunky as they failed to capitalise on 8 errors, 4 penalties and 3 repeat sets conceded by the Tigers. Tigers also have 3 players put on the report as Joe Offahengai, lock Thomas McKaylee and hooker Jacob Liddell for high tackles in the opening 40 minutes as discipline have proved costly, but they were still the better team. Stefano Akatomano scored the opening try after 7 minutes when Brooks held up a pass for Tigers prop to charge on to near the Cowboys line, and 5'8" Adam Uehi converted to give the visitors a 6-0 lead. Kiwis winger Ken Marlow crossed for his 5th try in 7 matches for the Tigers since making a mid-season switch from the Warriors after a cut-out pass to, from fullback Moses Mbai, who was very good all game, in the 20th minute. However, despite the Tigers appearing to be comfortable and in control, they had their lead reduced to just 6 points before half-time when 18-year-old forward Jeremiah Nane scored with his first touch in NRL. Fellow North Queensland debutant Griffin Name threw the final pass for Nanani after winger Carl Felt kicked the loose ball in field and it bounced up perfectly for hooker Reece Robinson, who passed quickly to the 20-year-old Kiwi prop. The Tigers were in control for most of the second 40 minutes, completing 17 of the 19 sets of possession and scoring 2 tries to take the lead to 24-6 midway through the half. Former Melbourne second rower Kelmer Tuolagi, who was playing his 3rd NRL match, ran through Robson and Cowboys fullback Valentine Holmes after receiving a sharp ball from Brooks near the North Queensland line to score in the 58th minute. Tommy Talau appeared to have put the result beyond doubt 8 minutes later when he finished off a backline move involving Brooks, Mbai and Duihi, but did and gave Cowboys fans faint hope of a late comeback when he scored on the 74th minute. The sin-bin of Brooks with 2 minutes remaining gave the Cowboys an opportunity to snatch an unlikely win, and winger Ben Hampton scored after they spread the ball from one side of the field to the other from a 78th minute penalty. But as it says, wasn't enough in the end as West Tigers won 24 points to 16. Ryan Matterson was sent off for a high shot on Brad Parker as Manly dealt a brutal blow of their own to Parramatta's premiership hopes with a resounding 56 points to 10 win at Sunshine Coast Stadium on Saturday night, Australia time. Parker's head knock and the sending off saw 18th man Moses Suli activated, and this new man scored in the corner with his 2nd touch of the ball shortly after, then doubled up 3 minutes later following Marata Nukore's sin-binning for a professional foul. Seagulls' Ded Hasler was unsure of Parker's availability for next Friday's game against the Raiders. Out of sorts, Eels conceded 4 tries while down to 11 men, with second rower Hawamoli Olakatoa touching down after Dylan Walker threaded through a clever grubber kick and Reuben Garrett completed a hat-trick. In all, Sea Eagles ran in 10 tries while registering their 5th 50-plus score in the 11 games and pushed ahead of Parramatta into 5th place on points differential. Fullback Tom Trbojevic was again supreme, while Haas, Daly Cherry Evans and Kieran Foran channeling the glory days of a decade ago. The pair came together in the 2011 season and won a premiership for the Sea Eagles. And here they are 10 years later, reunited, and they're trying to do it all over again. Winger Ruben Garrick continued his breakout season with 28 points from a hat-trick and 8 goals kicked. He has now set a new record for the most points in the season for Manly, surpassing Matthew Ridge's 1995 mark of 257. With the Eagles needing to show their supporters and the rest of the top 8 they were not a spent force, the start tonight could not have been any worse for Parramatta. Manly held on to the ball for 6 straight sets, made 5 line breaks and scored 2 tries. The Eels didn't get to pass the ball until the 10th minute, when the score was 10-0. That's how much the traffic was going one way. By the 30th minute, Manly had scored 5 tries, Tom Trbojevic and Garrick among them, each grounding their 19th tries of the season. The score was out to 26-0. Even having Reid Mahoney's shoulder back in the side wouldn't have helped. The Manly back 5 were creaming their opposition numbers out wide on both sides of the field. The Sea Eagles came off the boil slightly in the second half as the Eels enjoyed far more ball, but the floodgates opened once more for Manly and the ill discipline seeped into Parramatta's play. They did score a try in each half to Tom Opicic and Waka Blake, but they missed 41 tackles and didn't complete 10 of their 30 sets all game. Manly made 14 line breaks in total to the Eels 1 to further underline the Sea Eagles' dominance. So, putting a dampener on the success though was that 3 Manly players attracted interest from the match review committee. Dylan Walker and Josh Schuster are on the report for late tackles on kicker Mitch Moses, while prop Josh Alioui was penalised for a shoulder charge on Sean Lane. So a bad day at the office for the Parramatta Eels, one of the best defensive teams in the entire NRL competition. Now we're on to the last 2 games of the weekend in the NRL, and the first game is played at Moreton Daily Stadium, where Josh Cullen's stellar display has given the Warriors hope of a huge boost, but Nathan Brown doesn't dare to think of an unlikely playoff berth just yet. 28 points to 10 victory over Canterbury ensures they finish the weekend out a win outside the top 8 heading into the final 3 rounds. It was Warriors' 3rd straight victory, and with winnable games to come against Broncos, Raiders and Titans, they could sneak into the playoffs despite sitting 12th on the ladder, but Brown didn't want to look any further ahead than the Broncos game next week. Curran used his line running to great effect, breaking the line in his team's first set, scoring 1 try, setting up another and finishing the match with 3 line breaks, 175 metres run and 43 tackles. Curran bounced around a couple of clubs before finding a home at Warriors, and Coach Brown said the second rower is in the best form of his career. It was another frustrating afternoon for the Bulldogs, who were boosted by the inclusion of Raiders Lone Stars Ryan James and Corey Horsburgh. They finished on the wrong side of the 9-2 penalty counts that included 4 dangerous tackles, 2 illegal steals and 1 kickoff sailing out dead on the full, and also failing to get to a kick on the last tackle multiple times. James and Sione Katoa twice were also placed on report, while Nick Meaney failed a HIA. Warriors halfback Sean O'Sullivan had an all-action-packed start to the game, creating 3 tries, 2 for the Warriors and 1 for their opponents, inside 15 minutes. He threw a perfect short ball for the hard-running Curran to score just after 3 minutes, then threw an interception straight to Aaron Shoup 3 minutes later. The Dogs centre never looked like being caught. Then O'Sullivan reloaded with another great ball for Curran, who almost scored his second himself, but tossed the ball inside for Jazz Tavenga to score his first try of the year. The Warriors went further ahead through powerhouse winger Eddie Cozy, who's received a lovely shot cut-out pass from Reece Walsh to make it 16 points to 6 after 22 minutes. Some poor execution from both sides on attack ensured a few chances went to waste, but with half-time looming, the Bulldogs struck with an important blow. They were awarded a 6 again call with just over a minute to go before the half, and capitalised through a set play that Nick Meaney set up a combo to make it 16-10 at the break. 12 minutes into the second half, when the Dogs failed to kick on the last tackle, this time in their own half, the Warriors capitalised with a third tackle kick and a stunning chase from Walsh to get up to 22 points to 10. Thereafter followed an unhappy sequence for Canterbury. They forced a goal line dropout, then were awarded multiple repeat sets for offside infringements against the Warriors. The Warriors' defence was untroubled by the Dogs' unimaginative attack, and eventually got the ball back from a poor kick, only for Eddie Cozy to drop it and the Dogs to pick it up and score. However, Cozy was hit in the head by Sione Katoa after losing it, with a subsequent penalty leaving Katoa on report and negating both the Warriors' effort and the Canterbury's try. The Warriors' error. Bulldogs, don't worry, there was something in the Super League that has been a bit controversial when it comes to a headshot, but he got a red. You had a player stay on the pitch and may miss in a few games. Anyway, Canterbury also lost fullback Nick Meaney for 15 minutes of the game due to a failed HIA, and have Raiders lone players James on report for a dangerous contact on Janelle Harris-Tavita, which could have implications for both Canterbury and Canberra if he is charged. New South Wales Orange and big man Daniel Safita is concerning casualty of Newcastle's first top 8 appearance since March, with a feared medial ligament injury taking the gloss off a gritty win over Cronulla. Errors and penalties dominated them for much of the first hour in Redcliffe, before a 14-14 deadlock triggered the contest into life, but Safita was a late casualty. As a Newcastle chant sprung up at Redcliffe Boutique Stadium, Luke Metcalf was streaking away in one direction one moment, only for a one-on-one strip by Mitch Barnett to send the Knights heading the other way the next. Seconds later, Safita was prone on his back and battling with a left knee issue. The influential prop tried to play on before succumbing to the injury soon after, and coach Adam O'Brien confirmed at least a few weeks off for his star front rower. Both sides will be left sweating Monday's charge sheet after Barnett's high tackle and David Clymer's crusher were placed on report for the victors, while Braden Hamlin-Ulele and Britton Nikora, both dangerous contacts, were cited for vanquished. Another Sharks infringement. They were pinged for 9 penalties and 1-6 again in total, proving the difference in a tense affair where Jake Clifford banged over the decisive penalty goal when Kalen Ponga was tackled without the ball in support. The gritty 16-14 win lifts the Knights to 7th on the ladder, and crucially a clear win of the chasing contenders Gold Coast in 8th and Canberra in 9th. Not since round 3 have Newcastle been in the top 8, but critically they've had a formidable run at home against cellar dwellers Canterbury, Brisbane and fellow contenders the Titans, and a relative healthy roster, pending the eventual verdict of Safita. Cronulla meanwhile head up the next batch of 4 teams on 18 points and are fading fast, having lost 4 of their past 5 outings. They will be ruined, squandering a 12-8 half-time lead. After an early try by NRL Tuala even, that was squared up by Jesse Ramian, and then furthered by a simple try back for Ronaldo Mulitalo. Newcastle squandered ample opportunities to do the same. Knights icon and Nate's immortal Andrew Johns nailed their issue to the wall as he mused in commentary that their inside 24As were all the same. There was just no variation after yet another side-to-side swift was easily read by the defence. But for every nice defence mistake, the Sharks answered with a clanger of their own, be it breaking an early for a scrum or attempting to play the ball on the opponent's foot. O'Brien has rarely been able to include the likes of Pearce and Ponga on the same team sheet this season, and agreed with John's assessment. With time though, the Knights coach remains confident the cohesion will come right on the final when the finals loom. While Cronulla's 4-point lead held until the break, Tuala's second try came after the Knights finally converted one of their ample attacking chances, sneaking inside his sideline by a matter of millimetres. From there, the stakes ramped up, and even if the points did not, Newcastle prevailed with a finals berth now almost within their grasp. Interesting times at Newcastle. Not at the best of form, but all of a sudden started putting up a few wins together. Done quite well to get it to the top, towards the top 8. And finally, in some news that is no shock whatsoever to anyone in the entire rugby league, especially in Australia, the NRL has revealed the competition will remain located in Queensland for the remainder of the 2021 regular season, announcing a full list of venues for rounds 23 to 25. While Suncorp Stadium and Cbus Super Stadium in Brisbane and on the Gold Coast respectively will host the majority of the games, 10 of the remaining 24 games will be played at other venues. These are Sunshine Coast Stadium, Moreton Daly Stadium at Redcliffe, Queensland Country Bank Stadium in Townsville for the Cowboys home games, and regional trio BB Prince Stadium at Mackay and Brown Park at Rockingham, as well as a Cliff Berghofer Stadium in Toowoomba. That's the one. So, Rockingham will host games in rounds 23 and 24 after originally losing the South Sydney Rabbitohs St George Illawarra clash a few weeks ago as Queensland announced the snap lockdown. Mackay will also host 2 more games, taking their tally to 3 for the city, while Toowoomba will host in round 23. You're right that time, hey. Broncos will play all 3 games at their home at Suncorp Stadium. However, the Titans round 24 game away fixture against Newcastle Knights has been shifted to Sunshine Coast. Each of the 3 rounds will also feature at least one doubleheader, The crowd's likely to continue to be capped as 50% for the foreseeable future as Queensland attempts to remain out of lockdown. Sydney's COVID situation is currently out of control. Even moving back to the harbour city for finals will seem to be at long odds. NRL CEO Andrew Abdo said that it was exciting to play in the heartland areas despite the challenges of the pandemic. The pandemic is creating many challenges, but it is also creating opportunities. We're really excited to taking games to Rockingham, Mackay and Toowoomba in the final 3 weeks of the regular season, said Abdo. Rugby League heartlands are right through the regional Queensland. We have some of the most passionate supporters in the region, and we wanted to ensure we reward those fans with as many opportunities as possible to watch their heroes live. With that, plans for the finals are going to be announced further in the week, but I presume that it's going to be between Suncorp Stadium and Suncorp Stadium. And thank you very much for watching. That's it for a video from me for this wonderful Tuesday. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember, like, subscribe, share this video worldwide. I've not seen many comments since I last asked, so please keep the comments coming. I love feedback. It's always a great way to grow these channels and things like that. But in the meantime, I'll just say thank you again. Stay safe. All the best, and I'll see you in the next video.